That's a lot like our government. They out here dating other people on the side, giving money to other countries. It's a lot happening that shows that they don't have our
We're not
intentions.
taking care of at home.
No, they
Not
got
taking care of the mortgage.
several mistresses out here. They're not feeding the kids. It's straight up neglect. But we're like, but maybe in the next 4 years it'll be different. I think we are under a serious delusion.
So that definitely fulfills the idea of what we're talking about today.
You want to know why you ignore red flags in a relationship? It's because you're delusionally optimistic and way too hopeful, even when there are clear signs that something might not be right. And what's even crazier is that we're fully aware that these red flags are bad for us, and this is backed by research. Research literally shows that while we do observe red flags and signals hinting at future relationship issues, we overlook them due to a blend of initial positive impressions and our own romantic illusions. It's literally on us, and we really just go, yeah, let's push this off to the side. Think about it this way. We all have these deep-seated ideas about relationships, right? Like some of us believe that with enough effort and love, anyone can change, and that's why we might overlook the bad stuff, thinking we can fix them eventually. Listen guys, we are not project managers, okay? We shouldn't try to fix other people, they need to fix themselves. Also, there's a flip side where some people believe people never change. And having that mindset can lead us to ignore the red flags because we think we should just accept everything about someone if we really love them or like them. But here's the catch. When we think we can just deal with problems as they come, we're more likely to let red flags slide. It's like we're setting ourselves up thinking we can handle it, but newsflash guys, we can't, because what happens when those problems turn out to be bigger than we thought? That's when you might find yourself stuck in a situation you never wanted, feeling like there's no easy way out because of all the commitments you've made. Crazy, right? Basically, guys, we need to stop being so delusional and optimistic. That's all I'm trying to say.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun. And today, we're going to be talking about levels of our personal delusion about things. But before we begin, Tarvars, will you bring us into the Call for the Truth?
Well, certainly.
You're invited to join us.
We will need this.
Yes.
For those tuning in, we encourage you to join us in the Call for the Truth. Shall we call for the frequency of truth to come forth? Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Calling to hear the truth in all that we hear? Calling to speak the truth in all that we say? Calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call forth nothing less than truth to come forward into our experience? And we are here in the truth, examining our delusions, things that we believe in that we know are not the truth, but
things that we know
gung-ho.
for sure are not the truth, but we are believing in them, putting our life on the line.
Yes.
Making sure that all of our chips are in that pot.
I was just having that visual, like all the chips, yeah.
So this idea of delusion, we live in a world of fake news and lots of delusions. There's delusion coming at us from every angle, from our education, our families.
Political. I like to harp on that a little bit.
All right.
So this can be looked at through the theme of relationships, because that's a relationship, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
With the governing political bodies. And we don't have to go too deep into it, but just skimming rock across the surface, we can see telltale signs between our regular relationships, and I don't know if the mic's picking this up, but there are birds chirping, and I feel like they're trying to get our attention.
Yes, in location veritas. Okay.
That's what we were saying. So we can see a correlation between our everyday relationships and the relationship with the governing bodies. So have you ever been in a relationship, LaOta, and for you all that are listening, ever been in a relationship where a person continues to make promises to you? They're like, I'm going to do this for you. I got you, baby. I got you. I'm going to look out for you. I'm going to get you this. I'm going to get you that. I'm going to take you this place. And it always falls through. They never come through for you. But you still stay in the relationship hoping that it gets better, thinking that because you see the potential in what it could be.
Yes.
That's a lot like our government. They out here dating other people on the side, giving money to other countries. It's a lot happening that shows that they don't have our intentions.
We're not taking care of at home.
No, they
Not
got
taking care of the mortgage.
several mistresses out here. They're not feeding the kids. It's straight up neglect. But we're like, but maybe in the next 4 years it'll be different. I think we are under a serious delusion.
So
Would you
that
say?
definitely fulfills the idea of what we're talking about today. What is it that we are believing in that we know is not true? So the root of the word believe comes from the Greek word wish. So I wish that what I believed about you were true. Instead of saying I believe it, it's like, I wish upon a star. I wish that you would do the things that would be right for you to do, or the things you said you were going to do. Or
That's not even rubbing elbows with faith. It's like, I don't even know that this is going to happen.
It's like, I wish you would do the things I dreamed that someone would do for me that I don't want to do for me. You know, I don't know how to do, or I haven't decided to do, but I want someone else to do it. I believe in the things that I know are not true, but I believe that I can stay with you long enough to make it so.
That would be insanity, by definition. I'm just saying. Could we be insane? Is it possible?
What is the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results?
Absolutely.
More or less.
Absolutely. So we find ourselves as a nation and as people, as men, as women, as children, as people who are involved in religion, as political people, as people who are sick and needing medication. You know, we find ourselves all in that same situation where we wish it were true that what you said was true.
Yeah.
But we believe you, so we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing the thing because we believe that it's true. Does this sound familiar to anybody in the audience? Who do you know like that? Is your mother like that? Is your father like that? Do they believe in the thing that is not giving them the thing, but they still have the belief? And if they can't make it in their lifetime, do they believe that you now can make it in your lifetime to the thing that they never were able to make it to? Can you be the epitome of whatever that is? You know, I didn't make it, but you can make it.
I'm going to pass. If this was Uno, I'd lay down that skip card.
You're going to pass? You
Yeah.
sure you don't want to phone a friend?
I'm sure. I don't want to waste a lifeline on something that's
You
just
don't want to
obvious.
waste your lifeline?
No. What's coming to mind is also you were speaking about like doctors, the medical industry, things like that. And one example I have is things such as chemo and antibiotics. And for some reason right now, my mind is also connecting to the idea of we can make peace through war. So it's like you can get the thing you want through its polar opposite.
Absolutely.
That's
Peace
so-
through war. I really like that one.
So weird.
Yes, that I'm going to, if I bomb you every day for the next 6 months, I'm
It'll be
sure we'll be
peace.
at peace.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Enough bombs drop, we'll make it there someday.
Yeah, so that's one of those things we believe that we know is not true.
Yeah.
You know, if you want people to be at peace, they need to be alive.
Yeah. So to go a little deeper with the medical thing, the correlation or correspondence would be, I think that I can give life by way of death.
Right.
Which is one and the same, but again, antibiotic or,
Anti-life. That's what that word
anti-life
actually,
to get life, like
that's what it
that don't make no
translates to.
sense.
Biotic means life. Anti means not life will get you straight. And that's the same premise that we use in our medicine for many things. And people do survive it.
Teach his own.
You know, people do survive it, but is this the way to the polar opposite way of achieving what you want to achieve? Why don't we love and life ourselves back into life instead of try to kill the body, and if you survive it, you win?
See, that sounds like more of a struggle than going with the current. It's like salmon swimming upstream. We're not salmon. We don't go against the current. It's hard.
Well, I think one of the things that sticks out to me is the idea of relationships and how we have a fantasy in our mind. We've saw all the newlywed shows. We've seen all the bachelorette shows. We see the girl being chosen, and then we find ourselves, I got
Yeah, the
chosen.
choose me's
Yeah,
or pick
choose
me's.
me. And the relationships, sometimes they work out, but sometimes there are alarms and signals that indicate that things are not moving in the direction of the latest sitcom.
Red flags, beige flags.
Yes. And many times people will hold on beyond the point of what's reasonable, or
Yeah,
beyond the point of their own honor, respect, and dignity.
I think that's a major key right there.
And one of the things we were talking about is sometimes on social media recently, it has come to my attention, and I have not seen it, that people who are in couples are pranking each other with very mean-spirited pranks. And then the person who gets pranked is in defense. Oh, they didn't mean it.
But he loves me.
Yes.
It's like, no, he hates you, and this is his passive aggressive way of taking his anger out on you. But
yes. So this is really important that we start to examine. The point and the solution of this is that we want to examine the rational facts, the actual facts of a situation. Have we been received, and have we given and people been in gratitude, and have we been loved, and have we been served in the relationship with enough regularity that we can say, yes, I'm loved. Yes, this is worth the time. Yes, not just because you've been together for years, but there's enough evidence that change is either taking place, or that there's another reason why the two of you need to move together that makes it worthwhile.
so that would be different based upon the examples that we gave, because there's measurable change instead of like this hoping and praying, and you keep being set up for, well, not for failure, but they're not quite hitting the mark, so to say. And I think that's a great way to gauge if there's measurable change, because change is change. I remember you teaching me about this. Even if they're taking a step forward and it's a single step, that's still one step more than just being the same person who they were, and that's something to be counted for. But I want to ask you, like, what are ways we can address these delusions? Because as we can see, obviously, the common thread through all of them, but what would be some of your recommendations to address these things?
The number one thing that stands out to me, which may not sound like a solution, is that we should examine what is it that we can do to make ourselves happy. And then we don't burden another person with their feeling like they have to carry the weight of our happiness. And then once we do that, their behavior matters less. Be-Bration. We are a universal remedy of support, an ally infused with positive frequencies and biophotonic light particles, intended to return one to the greater whole of one's organic nature. Within our layered structure exists an opportunity for metamorphosis, prompting divine healing energies of light to awaken your original composition, that which has been irritated by inorganic substances through mental, emotional, and physical material. We are navigators, those who operate by way of your conscious thought and directive, exponentially moving to the physical areas of stuck emotion within the body that are in need of restoration. When engaged with us, we identify and mirror the called upon frequencies of lower vibratory notion for it to see itself in transmutation, while awakening that which is dormant to shift into the rectification of optimum balance and functionality.
That's major. I know you said
how
it's.
they behave is less relevant.
I have personally seen the power in that several times throughout my life. And I see how that's in harmony with universal laws and principles.
Yes.
It keeps us within our power. It keeps us
Yes.
from having to force the person to do the thing that we want them to do when they are just not positioned to do so. It helps us respect them. But you were saying something earlier regarding the relationships, and I know this may sound simple to our audience, maybe not to you, but the importance of honor, respect, and gratitude. I know, again, it may sound redundant, but are you in that space? Because the relationship examples or with our government, I could see where specifically with the person who's being abused, how will they know honor if they can't give it to themselves? You taught me this idea about value and how sometimes people are not capable of seeing the value in what you have to offer or who you are because they don't value themselves. They don't have it within themselves to give. So how could they possibly see beyond that which is not inherent within them? And I see the same principle with the honor and the respect. So how can you get honor and respect if you don't even have it within yourself?
So ultimately, we're going to this idea of trustworthiness. And, can we trust our government? Can we trust our food? Can we trust our pharmaceuticals? Can we trust our doctors? Can we trust our lovers?
Mm.
And so, how do we determine that? Which really comes back to what you're saying. I'm still answering the
Yeah.
question. Is this idea of what makes a person trustworthy? If they value the equations and the algorithms that are part of creation that make life life, they value the same thing you value if you value that. If they value what is artificial, what is illusionary, what is delusional, if they value what is fleeting, if they value the things that are not real, real and true means that it has always been and it will always be. So those things are clear indicators. So they have value for that. Then you have a basis from which you can then work because you are both on the same accord. You have the value. You love the fact that we are life, that we live on top of life, that we are eternal beings, that what's happening now is just a blip on the scope. So when you start having that, honor, respect, and gratitude become clear because you are on the same page. You have the value that it's the thing that is most to be valued, which is life itself. A person who has no value for life does not value your life and possibly does not value theirs.
I think that is most certainly the case.
And that is what we see in varying degrees when we see people purposely being mean-spirited and hurting another. We're seeing that they have no value for their life or for your life. So that cannot translate into trustworthiness. No.
I have something on this. I want to connect what you were saying earlier in terms of what can you do for yourself that doesn't involve trying to control another.
Yes.
And I have seen in my own life as well as others where we feel like we can't trust anyone. And this idea of like no one's trustworthy. But again, I think it's in principle it starts with can you trust yourself to listen to your guidance about how to navigate with this person or this situation or circumstance in all matters of relationships, whether it's business, love, or your relationship with the government. And so again, the trustworthiness, and this is what I've learned through direct experience, that the trustworthiness comes from trusting and using logic, reason, deduction to gauge what's in front of you. What has the person shown you? What's the evidence? And so, for example, I can trust this person enough to work with, like an employee, to work within this realm, not this larger idea, because they're not necessarily equipped. And then if I'm going against that understanding, I set myself up for failure where I've given too much trust to someone who is, and I say this respectfully, undeserving because they're not in that space. That maybe the language is not quite precise, but do you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying. I think the finger always points back to self.
Most certainly.
If every person who listens to this podcast were to stop for a moment and ask themselves, do they trust themselves? Do you trust yourself to eat the right thing?
Hell yeah.
Do you trust yourself? Do you trust yourself to treat yourself right? To choose the right? Yes. Because it's all a reflection. Everything's a hologram. Everybody you look at is a reflection at some level or degree of yourself. And so when you see aggression or abuse at some level, that exists within you. And once you understand that, then you can have the generosity and the grace to allow others to grow. Often people say to me, how do you put up with that? And I'm like, I have found that my guidance has been extremely patient with me. I want to extend patience and grace to others. And there is a point at which that becomes less so.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, tell me where do we draw the line of demarcation?
There is a point at which that happens, but I would like to live this life making my record that I was forever hopeful and that I did not offer myself as a sacrifice, but that I did extend grace.
I think that's a good gauge too of line of demarcation,
Yes.
as I was asking for, where we extend the grace, allow the opportunity for growth.
Yes.
Because there are people in our lives who are in their process, as we
Yes.
all are,
Yes.
at varying levels and degrees, right?
If you're on earth, you are not an ascended master.
We're in the toilet.
And this is a prison planet, and it happens to be a toilet.
Prison toilet. Okay. Yeah.
So if you are on earth, you are working your way to the next place.
Yes.
And everything you think and do is your next experience. People believe so much in manifestation, but they don't believe that the thoughts they're thinking will make their next moment. But that's how manifestation works. What you think, what you say becomes the next reality. So what we're doing right now is our next lifetime. It's our next immediate experience, and then our next experience after that. And that's the part that I think humanity is unclear on. I think they looked at The Secret and they didn't realize that it is true to the extent that it's true, but that every thought that you think protects you or puts you in harm's way.
Well, I would say it's definitely fragmented in terms of the conveying of the principles and laws where, like, for example, it's to your point, we'll get excited when we manifest something good. Like, oh, look what I did. Universe working out for me. And then something negative is like, oh my gosh, who did this?
Hey, somebody else did that to me.
Yeah.
LaOta. Someone's
sending psychic attacks. No.
Via your own thought forms.
Yeah, you resonance. But I want to go back to complete the idea about it was essentially a solution that you gave of the line of demarcation. So we have, again, to build the context here, we have people in our lives who we're being forever hopeful with.
Yes.
Showing grace as it is shown to us from our greater guidance, etc.
Yes.
Because I'm sure they looking like, I done told them, go left, not right, and they over here walking into the pitfall again, but I'm still here for you when you're ready. So to maintain that compassionate detachment, I can see where dang, hold on, I'm sorry, the
You
thoughts
lost your thread.
Yeah, oh my
Well,
gosh.
the idea of making sure that we recognize that what we want, we have the capacity to get it. And so part of what happens with couples is that we want them to do what we want them to do when we want them to do it, and be quick about it too. And you're not doing enough to please me.
Yes.
And so that doesn't really work.
By the way, it came back to me.
Okay.
Not suffering and losing yourself in the process
Yes.
as you give the grace. That part.
Well, it is necessary that in a world where people are walking around with images to help them remember to suffer, to making sure that they're doing activities that remind them of suffering, making sure they have holidays that bring death and suffering into their experience, that we make the opposite true.
Yeah.
So that we are in joy, happiness, and gratitude. And gratitude is the currency. If we can just be grateful, the rest of it collapses. If I could just be grateful that I'm sitting here with you in this beautiful place, having this experience with people who I care about.
We have an audience today, folks.
Yeah, so we have people I care about, then, I'm so grateful. And that gratitude protects me from negative.
Yeah.
And when I forget to be grateful, I lose some of my protection.
You drop down, become
Yes.
vulnerable, get weak points.
So when we recognize that the finger always points back to us, whatever it is we want, we must first give it to ourselves. You want something, give it to yourself first. You want people to be grateful to you first. I'm grateful for me, and I have demonstrations of gratitude coming to me all the time. This is the power that we ignore because this is a truth. It has always been, it will always be. That is not something that can change. It is law in this universe.
Yes. Hearing you say this, it makes me think and consider that we as humans are in a position where we must unlearn and literally reverse the understanding of how to attain what we want or desire. Because like everything I'm saying in terms of our behavior is backwards from what you're saying. Let me seek it outside of me and then I'll get it.
Yes.
And you're like, no, let me be it and then I get it.
That's exactly the truth, and that keeps you out of delusion. The delusion is, the fairy tale, the white charger with the prince on it who's going to save you. Yes, that's the delusion. The reality is, if you're in a tower and you've got hair long enough to crawl down on, you better get to weaving it so you can get down the steps.
Yeah, figure it out.
and get to doing it. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a pickle.
Yeah.
It's
so real.
So what we'd like to really share with the audience today is be mindful of your delusions. Our world is full of pitfalls that direct us to delusion all the time. What that was. That direct us to delusion all the time, and that it is the reality that what you want is what your experience will be if you allow it to be so. And so are you going to call for the truth and pull the call for the truth cards and let us know? What is the question today?
I'm asking the cards to show me the truth relating to our delusional beliefs and things we know that are not the truth.
So we're going to pull a card from the Call for Truth deck, and Tarvars will read a layered understanding of what the card says.
Truth. To know where you want to be, you need to know the truth of where you are now.
And that really is the crux of the idea for today.
There's so much that could be said. I know we don't have enough time to
but
do
if you want to, go right ahead.
It's just, I see that many of us, for example, in our relationships, I've had this conversation with you. Usually what we want is not necessarily the material thing. We want people to respect us.
That's what we all
want.
want.
We want them to feel grateful for our presence and the things that we bring to their experience and to honor us. And to get there, where are we right now? Are we in respect for ourselves? Are we requiring that of ourselves and others to get there?
And also, what are we selling? Like, we go to a bar, are we selling, I want you to respect me?
Hey, message.
What are we selling? Unbutton that shirt a little bit further.
A little more extra button. A little too much cleavage.
I'm looking for respect here.
Hey.
So we're presenting an illusion to someone, trying to get to the path of respect, which is what we all want, and it's what we all need for balance. But what we're doing is we're going about it in all the internet ways. We're going about it in all the ways. I got money. You want money? I got beauty. You want beauty? We're going about it in all the ways. We're not doing the things that make us respectable. So if we bump into respect, we bump into it by accident.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very important understanding for everyone to have, that what are you projecting? What is it that you really want? And have you sat down and asked for what you really want? You are capable of bringing to you your own desire. If you want to have an experience where you're fully honored and respected and loved for who and what you are, you'll have to start by not being artificial, by being the truth of what you are.
No Barbie and Ken dolls. Get those phthalates. Okay.
So we'll close out today by thanking you all for joining us. And we close this out with the greetings of Invocation Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude to you all. Thank you.